Now, YouTube got to cut Donald Trump a $24.5 million check. Yay. Yay, that's what you get for censoring that man, you mother. Yeah, so as you know, after that FBI-led botched insurrection situation that they was talking about, J6, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, since they was trying to silence him for saying his piece, because after they tried to take him through court and he couldn't say nothing in court, so he had to use his social media presence to get his piece out. Yeah, that's when all these media outlets took away his platforms in order to try to silence him. But see, DJ T don't play motherfucking checkers. This motherfucker play chess.
This is what I voted for, ladies and gentlemen. We're in the find out phase because President Trump just won another one. He scored a massive settlement of $24.5 million from YouTube, owned by Google, for censorship. If you guys don't remember, which I'm sure a lot of you do, President Trump's entire YouTube account was Thanos snapped out of existence, along with his X account, and they censored him on Facebook as well. This seemed like it was a coordinated effort as well. They already have proof that the Biden administration literally reached out to every last one of these platforms to censor President Trump. And that's exactly what they did. And they didn't stop there. They also censored and deplatformed many conservative creators. Google just admitted this recently.
Google admitted earlier this week that its COVID-era censorship policies were enacted at the explicit behest of the Biden administration. Well. And the company now says it will allow any content creator that was silenced for this reason to return to YouTube, which is a massive win for free speech, as well as an acknowledgement that those of us who objected to the government bullying the tech companies were right all along.
And now they're paying a massive settlement, at least to President Trump. Maybe some other people should sue. But one of the reasons why I even started this channel was because around 2020, when the pandemic hit, I noticed how much censorship there was and how the Democrats just seemed to love it. And not just the politicians, a lot of their support, a lot of the voters, they love seeing things that they didn't like just wiped off the face of the earth. They're like, yeah, delete those people, silence their voices. They just couldn't get enough. They just loved, they were eating it up. And now the tables have turned and they just had this freaking meltdown about dump behind Jimmy Kimmel. And now they're paying the price for what they did in the past, and they're finding out because some of their people are getting cooked with a little bit of censorship, even though they brought Kimmel back. But the story's here. YouTube to pay $24.5 million to settle Trump lawsuit. YouTube agrees to pay $24.5 million to settle a lawsuit filed by President Trump after he was suspended by social media platforms following the January 6th insurrection. How the hell is it even legal to even still call it that? Like, they literally tried him for this in Congress and they exonerated him. He was not guilty. He was not found to have done any wrongdoing, and plenty of other people have been found to be wrong. So how did they even still call it insurrection? It wasn't a damn insurrection. I got a whole playlist where I expose the fact that this was not an insurrection. It was a farce, and I'll get more into that a little bit later. This makes Alphabet own YouTube. Alphabet is Google, for those who don't know. It makes Alphabet own YouTube the last of the big three tech social media companies sued by Trump, which include Meta and Twitter at the time, now called X, to settle over his removal from their platforms. Yeah, for those who don't know, Elon had to pay up because it wasn't his fault. He bought now X when it was Twitter, and the lawsuit was already filed. YouTube will pay $22 million to settle the claims made by Trump to the nonprofit, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I think we get the point. So, of course, liberals are melting down about this.
We have breaking news right now. Another company has caved, this time YouTube. More and more organizations continue to cave.
YouTube is the last of the big tech giants to cave in and settle with Donald Trump. This isn't just about money, it's about the optics. Trump can now claim that a clean sweep, saying every big tech platform that tried to silence him had to pay. For YouTube and the others, the calculation is clear. Settle and move on instead of dragging this through endless court battles.
Legal scholars have said that there was no reason to settle this lawsuit legally, that they were likely doing it to curry favor with Donald Trump. As you know, Meta also settled a lawsuit, and I think they paid quite a bit more than Google. So
YouTube has caved. YouTube has decided to settle the lawsuit against him by Donald Trump for $24.25 million over his January 6th YouTube ban. Pardon me. Yeah, evidently the money from the lawsuit will go to his brand new, big, beautiful ballroom. But yeah, YouTube caved, the one that you guys keep telling me that's where I should be moving to, the ones that's censoring people, and now has caved to Donald Trump and will probably be censoring people even more.
But make no mistake, Trump will use this as ammunition to his supporters. It proves big tech wronged him. To critics, it's just corporations cutting checks to avoid bad press. Either way, the story ends the same. YouTube joins Meta, X in paying out, and Trump walks away claiming victory.
Because they caved to a lawsuit against Frumpy McDumperpants. Yeah, they're just going to hand him $24.5 million when they kicked him off the app for spreading false information about January 6th.
Oh, please, don't be a baby, okay? Take a look.
Maybe Google's getting off with less, but I think that it's absolutely terrible that these companies are bending the knee when they don't have to. They are powerful, and we saw what happened with ABC when people got word that ABC was giving in to Trump. ABC did settle a lawsuit as well, but this was about Jimmy Kimmel getting canceled. Maybe people will boycott Google now too.
As always, it's always like, oh my gosh, how does he get away with this? He was spreading mis and disinformation. He caused an insurrection, so we had to deplatform him. Like, these freaking crybabies. Cry me a river. What was misinformation is what Jimmy Kimmel said about the now murdered Charlie Kirk. I need to make sure to say, not deceased, not dead. No, he was killed. He was murdered. They literally shot this man through his neck and killed him. And Jimmy Kimmel decided he wanted to go spread misinformation about that. And he's still on the airways. And they had a problem taking him off. So it's clear that these people have no issue with hypocrisy. They don't care if there's misinformation. They really just don't like people to say things that they don't like. If you say, hey, too many illegal aliens came in from the border, or that the border was non-secure, at one point in time, they tried to act like that was misinformation. No. The border's secure. You can't say that. You don't remember all those people who were acting like that? Like, effectively, every Democrat politician was saying this, even though this was blatantly, this was stupidly untrue that the border was secure. And yet they said that anyway. So you go down this slippery slope of, well, when something's misinformation, then we just shouldn't allow it to be spread. But who is the arbiter of what is considered factual information and what's not? Today, I was looking at some details on a couple stories in how they determine if something is considered credible. They say, oh, well, there's multiple sources who report the same thing. You guys realize how this works, right? You get one source that breaks a story. Everyone else takes that story and then they spread it out saying it's their story now, and then they source back to that original story. So it's like this circular story that's all sourcing from one biased place. They got whole terminology for what this is described as in journalism. It's a commonly known thing, but they'll try to say that, oh yeah, this is authoritative, even though it's one extremely biased news source that reported it to begin with, and everybody else just reported what that source said. It's foolishness, guys. And let's not forget, as it relates to this whole J6 situation, more information consistently keeps coming out about this that disproves all of this nonsense, because they just released information recently, shout out to Kash Patel, that 275 FBI agents, not just informants, but actual agents, were in the crowd during J6.
And then there was the FBI, which said that it had nothing to do with January 6th. Then we found out some years later, okay, well, the FBI had a few dozen people there. Some assets, but even the assets who were there, they were just there of their own volition. They just coincidentally happened to be at the Capitol. That's what we were told. And now we find out, the FBI acknowledges that it had some more people, not just a few more people, 275 plainclothes agents in the crowds on January 6th. We found that out. What are we at? We're almost 5 years now after we were starting to ask about FBI involvement. This is thanks to reporting from The Blaze. Almost 5 years later, we're finally learning that the story we were told from the FBI was false. Now, the FBI maintains the plainclothes agents went in just to keep the peace. They didn't instigate any trouble. Even when you saw these very suspicious videos of people, multiple people, who were not arrested, who were not imprisoned for their actions on January 6th, urging people to go into the Capitol. Multiple people of different ages. Ray Epps was a famous case of this. Go in, you got to go into the Capitol. And people would respond to him and say, no, we're not going to do that. You're a Fed. And then mysteriously, they arrest, Midwestern grannies for taking selfies in the rotunda. They throw them in solitary. But these guys who incited mobs to go into the Capitol on January, they get off without being arrested, without being harassed at all. Very, very strange.
It's 2025. This happened back in 2021. So you years later still releasing this information. Should have been released a long time ago. People should have been held accountable. I want to see more indictments. I don't care what nobody says. I want to see more people getting indicted. I want all their money took. I want them locked up. I want them afraid and crying on TV, and all the liberals to be melting down about that too, because somebody needs to pay to make sure nothing like this ever happens again. People went to jail over this for years. They lost years of their life. It only makes sense for the people responsible to lose years of theirs, more years, because they actually did something wrong. The people on January 6th, the vast majority of them didn't even do anything. They went after people who were just there, who didn't even go inside the building. They went after people who weren't even present at the Capitol, but were on, weren't like outside the building when the rioting was happening. They were just on Capitol grounds. They went after them too. They went after everybody. And now, because of all of this nonsense in the social media platforms, for whatever reason, playing along at the time, maybe because, Trump had lost that election, they just felt like they went whatever direction the wind blows. That's what it seems like they're doing right now. Now they got to pay. Is it really worth it in the end? Because of course, obviously, if they didn't do this, President Trump could mess with all kinds of other money, introduce new regulation. It could be all kinds of trouble for them. So I see why they're playing nice now. I think it even says at the bottom of this article, let me go back to this article real quick. It says that just last week, YouTube said it would reinstate some accounts banned for violating now defunct rules, which the rules never existed. They didn't even tell you what rule you violated, meant to curb repeating posting of misinformation, a bunch of BS, including about the results of the 2020 election. Y'all remember them stupid notes that I don't know if they still have those. I don't remember seeing them recently. If you say something about election or J6, they leave a little note and you cannot remove it. Same thing for if you talk about the pandemic. They used to leave little notes on YouTube, under the videos, where you could not remove them. Extremely annoying. And all this stuff about independent fact checkers and all. Anyway, in this announcement, the company said it values conservative voices on its platform and recognizes that these creators have extensive reach and play an important role in civic discourse. Yeah, I mean, they're going to say that right now because, Trump is in office, but the second that, another Democrat manages to get in office, which will happen eventually, then, they're going to be saying something different, and they could just switch again, or they could have a new CISO or a new people in their board or directors or whatever, and they're going to try to flip-flop, pollywop all over again. But one of the things that does speak volumes is money. Knowing that they had to settle this suit before, I believe that they're going to think twice and just say no, especially Zuckerberg. I don't know about the Google. They woke as hell over there. Shout out to the platform that I'm posting this on. But now they know that, hey, we may have to settle another lawsuit, and next time it may be more than 24.5 million. That's really not that much money for a big platform or a big company like Google. So if you consider the fact that Democrats could turn around and do the same thing, let's say they take some Democrats off, I think Destiny got taken off. I mean, he's not really a big fish, but let's say Gavin Newsom or something. If any other Democrat gets taken off for saying something crazy or deplorable, whatever, then they're going to try to sue, and guarantee you they're going to sue for like 100 times the amount, because the Democrats don't really play fair. They don't care. They'll do everything. They'll even kill to get what they want. Clearly, this is how you start a Monday, guys. F around and find out. Looks like Teflon Don wins again, but these are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate y'all watching a Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
Hey, man. That's what happens when you fuck with people free speech. You fuck with their First Amendment rights. And you gonna fuck around and find out. You know? Like, y'all yapping and complaining about, what's his name? The guy that just got, Disney just got rid of. What's his name? The talk show host. He's so corny, I forget his name, but